So it seems the West is finally deciding to deliver F-16s to Ukraine. There isn't much for details at the moment. It seems that the West has announced to finally start making plans instead of announcing anything definitive. It's been a topic of debate for a while. Is it worth the risk of sending them? It's hard to say. The West has been pushing the line during the entirety of the war, while Putin's threats have increased. Perhaps smarter people than me can answer that question, but I'd rather focus on questions I can answer, like, how effective would the F-16 be in this conflict? Unfortunately, answering that question is extremely complicated. The F-16 is an extremely transformative fighter, first entering service as a fighter mafia's wet dream as the daytime, low-cost dogfighter. Very quickly, however, it was realized that wasn't a viable development route, which resulted in rapid upgrading that included more and more complex equipment. Comparing the cockpit to early blocks really demonstrates this. Only a few years into service, the avionics was overhauled in the Block 25 and Block 30 configurations. The Block 30 would focus on enemy air defenses. The Block 40 was designed for night fighting with a unique rasterizing heads-up display, and the Block 50 was made for general use. As of late, the capabilities of the jets have been consolidated to create a more consistent force, so the differences aren't nearly as pronounced as they once were, say, 20 years ago. That said, that's within the United States Air Force. Foreign operators often upgraded their jets through somewhat independent upgrade programs, while Lockheed continues to produce newer jets with completely new avionics and extended service lives. Even within the US, the country is slowly upgrading priority squadrons with AESA radars. To add even more variability, a lot of the usefulness of an aircraft in modern warfare is the ability to act as a capability platform. For comparison's sake, let's take a Block 50 aircraft. If we sent a Block 50 aircraft with no additional sensors or old weapons, the plane essentially would be a drag-and-drop replacement for the MiG-29 that Ukraine is already using. They would continue to be exclusively defensive, flying low where efficiency and situational awareness is the worst. The biggest impact they would provide is they would make much better use of the harms that Ukraine has received, meaning Russian air defenses would be more sufficiently suppressed. Unfortunately, that wouldn't mean much if they're still dependent on weapons with no standoff capabilities, such as dumb bombs, nor would it help much against Russian aircraft that continue to fly over their own airspace. Overall, a Block 50 F-16 with no add-ons would definitely help, but it wouldn't be a major game changer people think it would be. The equation changes massively if the West offers advanced technology, specifically sensors. If Ukraine is able to equip their F-16s with advanced sensors such as HADs, snipers, sabers, and modern AIM-120C-7s, that would definitely be a massive game changer. It would allow the F-16 to fully exploit its excellent efficiency and kinematic performance to deliver weapons where they're needed, as well as avoid threats altogether. It would enable them to be aware of the location of enemy assets to a much higher degree, allowing them to fly high and fast. This increases the amount of situational awareness you can gather, increases lethality of weapons for any given range, increases maximum feasible range of engagement, and cuts down considerably on fuel consumption, increasing loader time. So it's clear the F-16's value is as a capability platform, but what capabilities would actually be sent with it? Well, your guess is as good as mine. It could be that they send a fully kitted jet, or it could be that they send a bare-bones product. Currently, my thinking is the latter. Sending F-16s is a massive risk on the part of the West for two reasons. The first reason is you risk triggering nuclear retaliation from Russia. Whether or not you think Russia would ever commit to that, it's not a finite value, and such remains a risk of unknown severity. The second risk is losing the aircraft or the equipment during a conflict, which would have catastrophic consequences for the United States' operational security. The West has been relatively committed to slowly escalating the situation over time instead of seeking immediate forms of change and escalation. A good analogy would be a frog in a slow boil policy. I suspect if the West does send F-16s, it likely will be bare bones at first, or close to it. As time passes, more advanced sensors and weapons will make their way onto the planes, though likely will never match the full capability of the West due to the aforementioned risks, as well as because United States intelligence supplies so much information already as is. Had this been done earlier, I would have expected this ramp-up to take about a year or more, but I think the reason the United States is even considering this currently is because, unfortunately, public support is dropping off massively in the West. This is likely pressuring the West to try and wrap things up more quickly. As always, though, the risks are there. Thank you for watching. This video seeks to cut through sensationalist biased reporting and present complex aviation topics to the average viewer in a way that's understandable and informative. If you like this content, please subscribe. Until the next video, keep looking up.